talents for Imagine Crafts. Today we'll be creating this beautiful poinsettia card. This is quick and easy, and all you're going to use is some ink and a stencil. Let's go over the products I use. Brilliance in Pearlescent Poppy, irResistable Spray in Gold. That'll add nice texture to our card. We're going to use 2 shades of green. We're going to use from VersaMagic and a Pesto and Brilliance in Gamma Green. This is going to create nice radiant in our leaf. On point glue to adhere our card, as well as tear tape. And we're going to use this stencil here by Hurley. This is a poinsettia. It's got a poinsettia and holly, but we're going to use the poinsettia and the leaves here to go with it. I'm going to use those double leaves and a single leaf. We're also going to be using our sponge daubers here. And now for our paper, we have some Accent 80-pound ultra smooth opaque white paper. From Recollections, we're going to use this pattern paper here. This is green pattern paper, the tone-on-tone green. It's from one of their paper pads. I'll look it up. And it's from Recollection 110-pound white cardstock for our card base. I went ahead and die cut our sentiment, which is Merry Christmas. I die cut it 4 times. 3 times out of white cardstock and once out of this Shimmer cardstock. This is from Aspire and it's Pearlescent Shimmer cardstock in gold. And that's the little dot for our Christmas. Don't want to lose that. And I'm going to use some of these jewels here to decorate our card. We're going to use some StazOn multi-purpose ink cleaner to wipe up our stencil in between. Alright, so let me clear some of this off so we can get started with our project. We're going to start with our Accent 80-pound cardstock and our Pearlescent Poppy from Brilliance ink. We're going to make a landscape card. So I'm going to go ahead and use our stencil, which I use a little Pixie Spray on the back of it so it can stay on our cardstock. Especially the centers, because there's a really thin pieces of plastic in there, and I want to make sure they don't shift. Okay, I'm pressing that into place, but also going to bring in a little post-it tape to cover up any of those extra little pieces you see on the sides that we're not going to be using for our card. We may not get near it, but just to be on the safe side. Alright, so we're going to start again, like I said, with a Brilliance Pearlescent in Poppy. And when you open this, there's a protective plastic sheet. Do not throw that away. You'll need it to keep your ink nice and juicy. We're going to use our dauber here, our sponge dauber, excuse me, and we're going to just start in the center, and I want the center to be darker and the ink to fade out towards the tips of the petals or the leaves of the poinsettia flower here. So we're just going to keep adding this and going lighter as we go on, just using lighter pressure, I should say, so that it can do that gradient. So nice and dark in the center and a gradient outward. I don't know if you can see that really well there, but that's what I'm going for. So I'm just going to keep adding more ink here. And as you can see, I dab off just a little bit onto my Imagine Crafts silicone mat. This is so I don't have a big glob of ink when I first start. Alright, I'm going to gently peel off my stencil, and I'm going to wipe it clean using our multi-purpose StazOn ink cleaner. I'm going to use a paper towel here to quickly wipe that off, and then we're going to go on to stencil our leaves. Now this card can be a simple flat card, but I do use some foam adhesive. That's an optional thing. You don't have to use that if you don't want. Alright, so I'm going to line up my little leaves here, and I keep moving it around to see where I want it, get where I want it, and even with that I don't get it perfect, but it is a handmade card and I don't mind it to be a little imperfections in there. So we're going to start with our 2 green inks. We're going to start with the Hint of Pistachio, which is a VersaMagic ink, and it's more of a chalky base. Why am I going with this? Because it's a darker green and I want to create that gradient. I could have done the same thing I did with the petals, which I did with the same ink going darker and then lighter. I tried it and I still needed a little more depth, so that's why I brought in the Hint of the hint of Pesto ink. So now I'm going with the Brilliance in Gamma Green. I'm going right over this hint of Pesto and then on up. And it creates a lovely gradient there of the greens, and it also adds that shimmer on top. It's hard to pick up here on the camera, but it does have the Brilliance ink have a nice shimmer to them. I'm going to repeat the process on the other side with my other leaf, and again I'm using that Post-it tape to just cover up any of the images that we're not going to be using. I'm going to repeat the process with a little hint of Pesto towards the base of the leaf, and then go over it completely with the Gamma Green. And basically, this is it. This is all the coloring you're doing. No stamping, no coloring, just a stencil and some ink, and you have a beautiful start to a card. So now here we have our card. Basically, here's our focal point. And now for our centers, the stencil comes with these little dots that you can put in there. You can use our Brilliance, a Delicata Gold ink if you want in there, but I wanted to add some texture. So I'm going to use this irResistable spray in gold, and you can pull it out and use the nozzle, or you can put a little dab of it onto our silicone mat and use a tool like a stylus or whatever you may have handy to put little dots in your center. So now I'm going to proceed to create our card. We use the pattern paper. I'm patting some of our tear tape here. I ran out, so I'm using a new roll onto the back, and I do all four sides in the center. I'm going to use my pocket tool here to remove the backing of this so that I can adhere it to my card base. I set my flower to the side to dry because the center will need a few minutes to dry, and it dries dimensional. I don't know if I said that or not. So here I'm going to trim down my panel, my focal point panel, and I end up trimming it to just shy of 4x4. So it's about, yeah, just shy of 4x4. I just wanted to bring in your eye to the center here of the card. Okay, so I have a few little spots, and I'm going to just quickly grab my mono sand eraser here and remove that little ink. I got some ink on my fingers and I accidentally put it on my card. So like I said, this part is optional. You can leave this panel flat onto your card and be done, but I like to have little dimensions, so I'm putting some foam adhesive on the back. And the reason why I'm holding it up while doing this is because my center little irResistable dots are not completely dry. They're still a little bit wet, and I do not want to smush them. Normally I would set it to dry, but for the purpose of this video, I went ahead and just kept going. So I'm going to bring in our sentiment, which reads Merry Christmas. Like I said, I die cut that 4 times. 3 out of the white cardstock and 1 out of the Shimmer gold cardstock. I'm using our On Point glue with its precision nozzle to apply a little adhesive to the back of our sentiment so I can adhere it to the top of our card. And I'm going to make sure I put the little eye in there, the little dot for our eye. And then I don't realize it, but my camera will turn off and you'll miss me adhering the jewels to our card. I use a total of 5 jewels, 2 reds, 2 green, and 1 gold. I have them 2 up by the sentiment and 3 by the right hand corner, but basically our card is now complete. It's super quick and easy. You can make a bunch of these, make a lot of the panels, and then, continue making the cards. So again, we use our tear tape, our On Point glue, our irResistable spray in gold for our center, to VersaMagic and hint of pistachio, Brilliance in Gamma Green, Brilliance in Pearlescent Poppy, along with our stencil to create our card. It's quick and easy. And like always, I will have everything listed in the description box below. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get more inspiration from our design team.